Hello everybody, this is the Last Raider, and we are back with another video. Looking at Netflix becoming a living meme at this point. You've seen the meme, it's got, the manga, which is the original manga, then it's got the anime, which is, the anime, and then it's got the Netflix live adaptation, which just looks usually comically horrible. And we've hit this point right now with Cowboy Bebop. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Cowboy Bebop. I have seen enough episodes to know generally how the other characters act. And what has caught the eye of many on Twitter is Faye over here. Now, if you know anything, if you've seen the show, you know Faye is a character that is, well, she can handle herself in a fight to an extent, but she is what you would call a femme fatale. And it's kind of, this is something where the art of the femme fatale is kind of going the way of the art of the space battle, and the art of the action hero, and the art of the competent male, where writers in Hollywood have become so lazy writing woke stuff that they have begun to lose the ability to write certain archetypes and tropes. The femme fatale is one of the most recognizable tropes from the 90s. And you can look over here at Faye. Anyone who's ever seen Faye would in the anime Cowboy Bebop, you know that her outfit actually, her skirt, her shorts, and top actually match, and she's supposed to have pink leggings. Now the funny thing is, when I started looking at this, it caught me off guard because I was looking at this outfit she's wearing, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. And then I remembered we did this with Supergirl. Okay. It's amazing that back in, I don't know, what is this, the 80s, the 70s, they were able to do Supergirl right, in that the costume looked fairly accurate to the comics then, but then we do the Supergirl TV show now, and it was so jarring to the point that actually Livewire in the show gave the show a moment of self-awareness when she began to make fun of Supergirl wearing leggings with a skirt, and the only reason that happened was because every fan was looking at the show saying, why is Supergirl wearing leggings with a skirt? It makes no sense. You would probably want to do something like some young cosplayers do. Some girls that do cosplay, what they'll do is they'll run like a nude netting, micro netting, or a nude mesh underneath, which does actually provide some coverage, but it still gives the aesthetic of, bare skin. And it's kind of the concept of why can't Hollywood can't emulate some cosplayers who don't own any of the tricks that they've made. They can't get in there and go, let's do this. Let's grab some, some nude pantyhose and pull that shit off. No, we can't do that. But we are just back to this nonsense. And the thing that I have noticed about female characters, and this is something that there's all kinds of dumb excuses by the left and the SJW to doing this. One of them is, it makes it look more realistic. There's also, this is also with the argument of no woman could ever look like this, no woman could ever dress like this and pull it off. And again, cosplayers do this almost all the time. This is the actual outfit that Faye is in, and you'll notice that Faye, like I said, Faye is a femme fatale. It's the femme fatale, for those who don't know. The femme fatale archetype is, I'm going to bend you, okay? It's a woman who is going to bend you over. She's either going to bend you over with her feminine wiles, or she's going to bend you over after she breaks your spine. Either way, she can do this. Faye is more of, probably from what I've seen, and I may be wrong about this, feel free to correct me in the chat, because, like I said, I am not the biggest fan, but I have seen some episodes of Cowboy Bebop, and I need to get on that show. I heard someone said it was on Hulu now, and I'm kind of wanting to get Hulu so I can just watch it, just to watch it. But from what I've seen from Faye is she's, she can shoot, she can fight to an extent. But in the femme fatale scale, there's two spectrums of femme fatale. There is, how do I put this? There is the the sexy girl who can shoot, which is, she's a more of a good-looking hot chick, more of her feminine wiles to, just take a guy down in a matter of minutes. She's sort of the competent, sexy fighter, whereas fighting is not her main push. If it was a D&D character, you would put more skill points into charm and charisma than you would combat. And then there is the other end of the spectrum, which is more of the Lady Death, or Red Sonja, which is, oh yeah, they're sexy. They could use their feminine wiles to beat you. Sometimes they do. But mostly they are more heavier combat, take you out, because they're more of their confidence does not come from their sexiness and their confidence and their ability to walk around in a skin-tight outfit or even chainmail bikinis is not there because, oh, they're sexy and they know it. Their confidence comes from, I'm a badass swordswoman and I know it. This is then reflected in their sexiness. And sexiness with a woman, you can pull off sexiness with a woman with a lot of clothes on. I'm not saying that's impossible. What I'm saying is, if you're going to have a character who uses her feminine wiles, piling on the layers is not a good idea. Because this character should be able... She's basically becoming the entire package. Yes, she can fight. Yes, she's intelligent. Yes, she has a good body. But the clothing is also there to further trip up her opponents. For those who don't understand how old this trope is, it actually goes back to an actual battle in China. There was actually an actual fight that happened between a warrior, a general, and a group of warriors. And what happened was the general was defending a wall or a gate in China. And he had defended it quite well. After several months, they had gone after, fighting it back and forth. I'm going to move over here to the cosplayers because they're better to look at. But anyway, the enemy army had spent months besieging this fortress at this one commander, and he was commanding it perfectly. You could not have had a more perfect defense. After a while, tired and exhausted, the commander of the enemy army, he's getting desperate at this point. He's losing control of his troops. Finally turns to this one woman. Some people say she was a princess from a foreign nation. Others were saying she was like captured princess, or she was like a milkmaid or something like that. But she said she could break the army. She could get them inside. She could make the gate fall. She walks up the next day to the gate, smiles at the general very sweetly, and politely asks him, "Sir, will you please open the gate for me?" And the general, who is just starstruck by the beauty of this woman, complies and opens the gate. Now you tell me, what's more impressive, a badass chick that goes up there and beats the crap out of everybody and forces the gate open, doing Ray Mary Sue shit, or a woman who can open the gate and make an entire fortress fall with just a crack of a smile? The femme fatale is almost goddess-like in her ability, and it is something that Hollywood they've lost the ability to do this. As they go on, because here's the thing, wokeism is easier to write because you have a set of standard rules. There's a risk involved, but it's very minimal. Hollywood has reached a point where they don't want to take risks anymore, so they do the bare minimum of what they can accomplish. Instead of making a nice, hot, sexy character, we go in there and try to modernize the character to a certain extent. Not because it will make the story better, not because it is realism is what the audience wants. The audience of Cowboy Bebop do not want realism. And they know this because you look over here at the other two characters. Other than one of them being black, I mean, you still got the corgi. You're dealing with a show that is in space. It's kind of a gritty space sci-fi. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan. I don't know all these characters. I know Faye because I know guys who are fans, and they talk about Faye a lot. My God, they talk about Faye. And then one of them said, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Why do y'all like Faye so much?" He goes, "Oh," sent me a picture. I was like, "Oh, yeah, damn, I see why now." I see why. But, as I said, the modernization of a femme fatale is not really necessary because it worked in the 90s. It still works today. And it's still working within anime and manga right now, which is kicking the teeth out of every other medium on the market. Any Western medium is just getting annihilated by manga and anime at the point. They still do sexy females. They still do panty shots. Everything that you've originally wanted that was, kind of 90s-ish, you're seeing it now within anime and manga. And Western entertainment has reached this slump of, well, and it's I kind of want to make it to the point, I would say it's because they haven't hired enough people, but that is comics' problem. Comics has gotten to this point where they've hired so many people who don't know what they're doing, and very few of them have any actual talent. And the ones that do have actual talent and can do something decent are not given the opportunities possible because they don't have the right politics. But the problem is Hollywood, I would say this is the reasoning, but Hollywood still has good big name artists and the very same people who made the 90s great. The problem is they don't have the balls to do anything about it. I can't remember who it was who left like Marvel or IDW or something like that, and he said, it was a comic artist, he said they're kind of like a porn, he said the reason I don't like working with them is they're like a porn star who doesn't understand how to use her tits. I mean, that kind of sums up exactly what's going on with Hollywood and Netflix. Netflix is desperate, and this is the thing. Netflix is kind of reaching the point where it's kind of almost psychotic, or almost it's to give an example of this. It's kind of like Jordan Peterson one time was talking about how evil Hitler was. He said if you were really trying to win the war, he said you wouldn't have exterminated the Jews. He said you would have turned them into forced labor and used them to finish the war effort and then exterminated them after you'd won the war. He said you'd realize just how evil Hitler was because he was willing to cause as much chaos as possible and as much destruction as possible before he lost the war. He had done given up on the war. He was more interested in evil and chaos than he was actually winning. And this is the problem with Netflix right now. Not saying Netflix is evil, but Netflix is so dedicated to politics and this political standing and this nonsense from these puritanical retards who half the time, if you find any of these idiots on Twitter, if they are caught doing anything, 90% of the time it's pedophilia or some other nonsense. And it's also amazing to me that the very same company that has the balls to put cuties out there does not have the balls to show an adult woman in, what a cosplayer would be. That's more than... Honestly, I would have gotten an actress who was I would have just found a cosplayer and given her some acting lessons. I mean, at this point, I'm getting the look I want. I mean, fuck all. Give her some firearms training and a couple of acting classes. She'll be fine. Okay? I mean, who knows? You might actually find a diamond in the rough or some nonsense. But the nonsense that's happening with Netflix is they're so dedicated to this ideology that they would prefer this than actually fighting the streaming war that they're dealing with right now. Okay? Netflix is going out the door. There are so many streaming companies coming along, and I made this prediction a long time ago, where streaming would eventually reach a point where you're not going to buy all these pointless channels. You're going to see a lot of these old TV channels die off. You're already seeing it with regular news media. Regular news media is getting its teeth kicked in because independent content creators are beating them off, and people can just subscribe to who they want to. You will now be able to customize your television experience with the channels that you want. And the best channels, the ones that are bringing the best entertainment, or the entertainment that people want to see, are going to rapidly float to the top. Disney Plus, when it first came out, was a prime example of this because Disney Plus put out all the old shows like Gargoyles, Tailspin, the old DuckTales, and everything else. And by doing that, they actually floated to the top for a while because, hey, everybody liked that classic shit. And then they dropped a whole bunch of modern crap, and everyone was like, well, we've watched all of your entire library, Disney. We're just going to turn you off for a bit, and then we might subscribe to you again for like a month so that we can watch some old shows or something. I may watch David Xanato's F around with Goliath for a little bit at some point. But, like I said, they're more interested in appeasing a bunch of woke retards than they are of doing a character right. And honestly, that is the thing that's just the biggest concern. It's gotten to the point where live action a live adaptation is now more of a joke, when back in the 90s it was an awesome thing. Oh my God, Transformers, for instance, was a great example of this, where they said, oh, you know what, they're going to do a live action Transformers. Oh, people lost their shit. Now you say, hey, we're going to do a live action of Sailor Moon. People are just grown, like, oh, just no, just leave it alone, because Hollywood has pretty much ruined, and Netflix especially, has now ruined any good faith that the audience has that they will do it right. And so the audience is more the mindset of, please, just leave the femme fatale alone, leave the action hero alone. Y'all cannot do this. The audience desperately wants them to make their own stuff. The fact of the matter is, Hollywood can't. They can only emulate and reproduce. And what they mean is they go in. Another character, I just realized this, there was another character, a race of characters actually, that they did this to also, where they gave them the the legging, the full body treatment, or the full body covering, pretty much, was the Iranians in Star Trek Discovery. I just remembered this, where you have a race of females who had the ability, and this is I'm going to end on this point. They have you have a woman who is trying to win by any means necessary, who lore-wise has the ability to subjugate any man with a pheromone contact. And she can enhance her sexiness and debilitate female crew members. Any female within a distance, except like Vulcans and a few other alien species. And you're telling me this woman is going to cover all up, make herself look as just as conservative as possible, and not use her technique, which is technically akin to Charles Xavier's mind control, on the enemy. And she's a woman who is going to do anything to win, and she doesn't do that. It makes no sense. These people are so politically and ideologically driven that the medium is now suffering because of it. Anyway, folks, tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me what you think about Faye being covered up, and oh man, this costume looks horrible. By the way, looking at it, the more and more I look at Faye's costume, the more and more I realize somebody needs some. Damn, we need a gay guy in here to make the fashion sense work. So, I mean, where is the gay guy? Where's the gay fashion guru when you need him? Sit there and say, no, this is just, it's all wrong. This is just classing, girlfriend. You need to fix this. This is ugly. It's horrible. Trust me, I will fix you, Faye. You'll be fine. We need that gay guy to come in here and fix this outfit. Anyway, folks, tell me what you think in the comments. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notification. And as always, stay safe, stay frosty. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye now.